Hey, residents of Mapletown, today we are...
Hold up a second.
All right, here is the setup for Paranormal Detectives. We are going to be playing a two-player cooperative game. Now you can play.
Are you wearing a two-payer right now?
Maybe I am. I might in a couple years have to do that. We are playing a two-player cooperative game. Now we could be playing this with multiple players, where in this case John is going to be the ghost, and we would all be playing the investigators. We could be playing competitively, the first one to figure out the who, why, where, how, and the weapon of this crime that has happened. And then John would only win as the ghost if somebody figured out the crime. But here we are working together. I'm an investigator. You're a ghost, actually. We can't shake hands.
Oh, sorry.
We can't shake hands with a ghost. So what we're going to do is John has this story over here. Now he's only going to read. I'm not supposed to be able to see this. He's only going to be.
You're right. Did you see it?
He's only going to read that. I did not.
Okay.
I did not see it.
All
Although
right.
I have seen this when we played through this one before. The last thing on the card, the bottom right-hand card of the card, has something in italics. Mm-hmm. It says.
Yep.
You gonna read that one out loud?
You want me to?
I do.
Because I'm supposed to.
Very much so.
Man in a sequin tuxedo. Now, we will say that there is very minimal spoilers on this.
Yes.
We're going to try not... We're only going to play a couple things, so there's very minimal spoilage. That's the most spoilage you're probably going to... Yeah, that you're going to get. So
we're purposefully doing the first story in this one just because we don't want to take away from the story.
I'm going to flip it over so
on.
Dean can't see it.
Right. So all we have right now is this is a man in a sequin suit, and we're trying to figure out all of these details. Now, how are we going to do that, John? Well, let me tell you. I have these investigation cards, and I'm going to be asking the ghost questions whilst handing them these cards. And there's 9 different options. Here's the thing. So you have different characters. We're going to be playing with the sister act character in this game. Can you see that? Is that
my favorite character.
All right. Playing with the sister act character. And so she has a deck of cards, a deck of 7 cards, and then because it's a 2-player game, I actually have to grab 2 decks of cards, and they also have 7 cards, but there's 9 different ways of asking questions with these cards. So in this case, we actually are we have the ability to ask any of the questions, but if we were playing in a game again with multiple people, I would only have 7, so I would actually be shorthanded on some of the questions I could ask.
You have to be a little more thoughtful about which questions you ask when and where. That's
right. But 2-player, I've got the world is my oyster, John. I can ask whatever I want. So I'm just going to tell you what some of these are. There's the ghost scream. Ready for that one? That's right, John screams. So the ghost is going to make a sound that indicates an object in the room. So you can scream a sound that would help out. Right? Or point to an object in the room. Now, when I ask the question, I can ask any question that I want except a yes or no question. So I could say, hey John, I'm going to hand you or Ghost, I don't know your name, hand you the ghost scream one and say, what was, I don't know, where was the murder or something like that. You could ask questions like that. And then John would scream out something, not the answer, like scream out something or point to an object in the room.
That's exactly right, Dean.
All right, then
so
there's...
I could be like,
that's right.
It was you.
It was me.
You killed me.
I asked where. Where did it happen? In my face?
In your belly.
All right, so there's the ghost scream. There's the haunted mirror, which you would do a pantomime for 3 seconds. There's the ghost mouthing a word, which is a good one, especially if in a multiplayer game where you don't want other people to see what's going on. That's the whispers of shadows. There's the ghost touch, which is the creepiest one, where John would write on my back, again, so nobody could see what was going on. But it's a little cringeworthy, I think, that one. There's the ghost meter.
I like that one. It's my favorite one.
The ghost meter, where you get to put 3 of these meters on here, and you can say, move these up. The ghost would move them up or down depending on where they were on the meter. So it would be either big, small, heavy, light, fast, slow, good, bad, evil or good, loud or quiet, hot or cold, old or young. And so depending on what question you ask, if you ask like who the murder was or something like that, then it'd be
they pick 3.
An old,
is that right?
Hot.
You pick 4.
Slow person or something like that. I don't know. It's a ghost meter.
An old, hot, slow person?
Hey, man, I don't know. I'm not the ghost. You could use these ropes to fashion something. That's the hangman's knot. The quill pen, and this is one that you're going to draw on your hand. So I would take this notebook here, take a marker in my hand. John would grab my wrist and move it around so that I'm drawing something to see what's going on.
All right.
Then there's also these tarot cards, and then there's this... the talking board up there, which I didn't explain those because those might be what I'm going to use to ask.
Let's do it. Let's get this game on.
All right, so the first thing that I'm going to ask, I think, is if you could tell me, Mr. Ghost, who was the murderer.
Okay.
All right. And then I'm going to play the talking board one, which means John is going to move those around. While he's moving those around, I'll explain it. So there's 5 different ones on there. You're only going to point to a group of letters, and so you don't know exactly what it's spelling out, but you might be able to get a gist of what it's pointing to. You can point to multiple groups, but again, you're not pointing to the exact letter, only to the group of letters. So John put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're only going to do the first 5 letters, so if it's more than that, you're at a disadvantage. You have to kind of figure it out.
You gotta try to figure it out.
This one, the word's going to start with an O, an E, or an A. I would say the likelihood might be that is A, right? Oh, you got 3 pointing to the same space?
I do.
All right,
it could be A. It could also be O-N, I guess,
in
right?
this, the go is
now,
not
I'm not allowed to say this. We're just... Oh, sorry.
You could just tell me.
We're just having fun for the YouTubes. Okay.
You're right. It could be any of these, but I'm going to say A... T8 at what is both of these Atson S A S could be S A S S.
This needs to be children friendly.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna go. That's right. So who? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write my answer down. Now because we're playing cooperatively, I don't have to have this shield because it doesn't really matter, I guess.
But the shield's cool, so you want to use it?
If you're playing against other people...
I shouldn't talk.
Now, here's the thing. Everyone else can see what's going on the board if you're playing with multiple players, so they are trying to figure out as well. So I might not want to tell them exactly what I'm saying. Just figure it out, write it down. And so I wrote my answer down, and then I'll ask you another question.
Ask away.
All right? Now, I can either ask a question... I can both ask a question and guess if I want. But in a cooperative game, you only get 2 guesses and you lose. So.
And you have to guess all 5. Is there 5, right? Yeah.
Right.
So if he guesses right now, I would be amazed.
That's right. Now tell him what happens if I guess wrong, John.
Then that's not a good thing. If he guesses wrong, then I'm actually going to write on my little board, which I don't even have it. You took it
sorry.
from me.
I put it back in the box.
I'm going to write how many he got correct on this board right here. Now, he doesn't know which ones he got correct. So if he got 4 out of 5, all I'm going to do is write a 4 next to his name there. And he knows that he got 4 out of 5 correct.
All right, and then John has those 3 cards over there that he can or will use to...
If he gets it incorrect, I will do this.
Right. Let's see. I'm going to play the tarot cards, which is the one that we did not talk about earlier, but this one is the ghost plays up to 3 tarot cards, and I'm going to ask a question along with this. I'm going to say, how was this person murdered? That's what I'm going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he's going to do is take 3 of those cards. He can place them however he wants, and then that will be the clue that he is giving to me. And then we just sit and wait.
It's just going to take a minute. It don't take too long. Give me a second now. Give me a second, Dean.
The other cool thing about the sheet I didn't mention, it gives you spots to write down the answers on there, but also you've got a place to take notes down here, which is really helpful.
This is an amazing one, by the way.
Okay. All right, so here we have a person. This is a guy, assuming maybe the guy who has been murdered, right? And then we have this thing that kind of looks like maybe a bridge with water. So it could be that he was under the water. That's where you got him. So I'm going to guess he may have been drowned. He's not going to say anything. All right, and then I could guess. But the thing is, I have to be able to guess all the information on here. I have to be able to figure out. So it would not
be smart to guess
right, because I wouldn't know.
Incredibly smart.
I wouldn't know why. Now, at this moment, I think, okay, an assistant drowned somebody is kind of what I'm thinking. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I still have to figure out.
And you will not find out because we will not spoil it.
That's right. That's as far as we're going to go, actually. And I would now need to figure out, if that's what it is, figure out the why, the where, and the weapon. That's the other three things that I would need to figure out. And then, if I do figure it out, kind of figure out this story, you make up a story along with that, then the ghost will determine whether or not you win. Now, on that card, there's a couple of options. So if you don't get the words exactly right, you can still win.
Yeah.
It gives you different options. Plus, the ghost kind of plays as a moderator in that sense to figure out, is this close enough? And if so, then I'll live.
That's exactly right. For 3 of these, there's 3 answers that will be accepted.
Okay.
One is only 1, and then another one, there's 2 answers that are accepted. So
yep. So that is the gist of the game. Again, this is the cooperative version, but the competitive version, you're all doing these things, but you don't want the other players to know the information that you're gathering, so that you can guess it before they do and become the winner.
All right.
All right, so let's check out
art and components.
That's right, art and components. What do you think?
Okay, so art-wise, I like the art pretty well. Yeah, I like the cartoony art right here. I think this board is decent. I don't know. It's nothing. I like the cigar here. I think that looks kind of cool. It's not my favorite art, but I think that it's done well.
Yeah.
And I think the art on the cards are done. I actually think that's kind of cool the way they did those. The art on these it's good. It's not my favorite style, but I think it's done well. And the components are okay. Like, these aren't the greatest quality cards ever.
Yeah, they're not the worst either.
They're not the worst either, for sure. No. They're exactly right.
The dry erase markers and boards, I think, are not your favorite, John. But each player gets these.
You love these.
So there's a bunch of these in there. Yeah, the ghost gets this one. I like having the dry erase markers and the boards, because if it would have just been pen and paper, how do you say that? Pen and paper.
Say however you want to say it.
I would, excuse me. Whoa. I would have just laminated them anyway and used these markers. I love these markers that have the eraser on them. These all come in the game box, so I think it's good. I think it's good stuff.
I like the coffee stains and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Now the gameplay, that's what really matters, right?
Yep. You go first.
Art components matter, I guess.
They do matter, for sure.
So the gameplay, I've got.
You basically just said we have a whole segment that doesn't matter.
That is true. I did say that. It does matter.
Can you reverse that statement?
It matters. Now, on to the gameplay. I have mixed feelings about the gameplay, because I think the idea is pretty fun. Like, this competitive kind of cooperative game. I prefer, the co-op's fine. I prefer to play it in a competitive mode. Mm-hmm. We've done that. We've done both.
Yep.
I prefer the competitive way. I like how these different mini games play out. I think it's fun, and I think the ones that they have are a good mix, right? Like, I think this board is cool, the way that these play out. All the ones that we did using this, you have these elements kind of like, it's almost like Cranium, right? Like these little mini games that you have that you're playing throughout. So I think that's fun, and I think it's well done in that way. It has kind of a Mysterium feel, but it's not just showing cards the entire time. It's multiple things that you can do to give clues. Now, the negative for me is the theme. I don't jive well with this theme. Like, you've got this board here, the tarot cards, all of those. Like a Ouija board, basically. Yeah, like the Ouija board. That's not my bag, right? So for me, that gets a big knock because of that, because I'm not just the biggest fan of this theme. But that's a personal thing, a personal preference. I think the gameplay itself, if I just look at the gameplay without the theme, I think the gameplay is fun. It's quite a bit of fun. But the theme is what really knocks it down for me quite a bit.
Yeah, so if you've watched our channel, listened to our podcast, deduction games are definitely not my favorite. Mm-hmm. So what I say, take with a grain of salt, but I know there are people out there that listen to what I say because they like the types of games that I like to type. So I want to give you my thoughts on it. I think the theme is extremely strong in this game.
Yes.
And that is nice. That is really nice. I also agree with Dean that I like how you have that competitive but cooperative. I like that in games a lot of times. So you're trying, and it really leads to some interesting calls, because you may you're probably going to play cards with like the drawing on the back first.
Yes.
Those type of cards, which then again, it seems like there's certain ones that you're going to play early in the game when you're playing competitively. And stuff like this, where you could really spell out something, unless you know the people that you're playing with aren't too good at stuff like that.
Right.
But this can be kind of cryptic too as well. So that's yeah, it's good and bad, I guess. The negative is I feel like you kind of go to the same ones off the bat that you try to that shield other people from knowing what you're doing a little bit better.
Yeah.
Than that. So, anywho, but I agree with Dean too about the theme. And again, this is just an absolute personal taste. I have a hard time with this because if I am playing deduction games, which isn't all that often, I'm probably playing them with my family.
Yeah.
And when it comes to my family, the Ouija board and the tarot cards, I just don't want to do that with my kids again. So that's a personal thing. I don't normally play deduction games with a group of my buddies on game night. So that's definitely a knock for me. So you want to do final thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. And I can just kind of jump into that, you know, along with what I've already said with the strong theme. The other part is I do like deduction games a lot, but that field can be kind of crowded sometimes, right?
Yeah. For sure.
I really, you know, Mysterium I mentioned. I think Mysterium is quite a bit of fun with the
Cryptid.
large. Cryptid is my favorite of the deduction games. Now it's very much a different theme and it's a different feel to the game. But I think if I'm just trying to figure out like the whodunit kind of thing, there's a lot of games out there like that, and so it becomes kind of white noise in the crowd, I think, and that's a challenge. So for me, I do think this is a lot of fun. I think the gameplay is a lot of fun. I think that there's 28 stories in the game box, I think, which is great. You know, that'll last you for a long time because you know you can figure everything out quickly. Like the game can go fast, but not necessarily. You know, it might take a little while to figure these out, and then you've got more in the box. So I think that's really cool too. But once you've played it, you're done. You don't really have any in replayability because you'll mostly remember all of the different cases. So all that to say, I think it's a fun game. The theme knocks it quite a bit for me. I'm at a 6.5 on this one, which is not terrible because again, I think the game is fun. I think if the theme with specifically with the Ouija board, with the tarot cards, and with what John was saying, playing this with my family, I probably had those elements. Had this been a different theme of sorts, I probably would have been more like a 7.5, something like that. But so 6.5 for me, not a bad game at all. I think it's fun, but that's where I stand. Yeah,
so I'm going to say positively, start off positively. If you are cool with the theme, you like the theme, if you think the theme is awesome, you might really, really like this game.
Sure.
But I do agree with Dean that there are a lot of deduction games out there, and this, for me personally, falls into the muddled middle. And when I'm not a huge deduction fan in the first place, it falls into the muddled middle, and then you throw a theme on top of it that I'm not excited about. Again, I agree with him 100%. If the theme is erased, this is going to get a higher score because I do think this is a very well-designed game. Mm-hmm. I do. And I think a lot of people are going to really, really like it. So again, if you're excited about the theme, you might really enjoy this game. And if you like deduction games. But if
I'm going to know what you're getting into.
Know what you're getting into. For me, I have to rate it by the BGG scale, and for me, this is a 5 out of 10 because I'm probably just not going to play this game. Now, if there's a group of people that really want to play it, maybe, but it would be pretty low on the ladder, whatever, for my personal choice. Yet again, I've seen where a lot of people think this game is phenomenal and like it a whole lot. So I do want to reiterate that. But for me personally, it's just something I don't really care to play. Yeah.
Now, so that's a 5 from John, a 6.5 from me. And before we go on to how people can get in touch with us, can you say muddled middle 3 times in a row real fast?
Muddled middle. Nope.
You cannot. All right. So tell people how they can get in touch with us.
I can say this really fast. If you're enjoying our channel, we'd love for you to subscribe to it. Also, click on that bell for notifications. I'm not going to go too fast because I've done that before, and it's a little too quick.
There to Savannah.
So you got to flow like molasses. We also have a podcast on Google, iTunes, all that good stuff. Just look up Google Play, Meepletown Games. Look up Meepletown. We're at Meepletown Games on. Man, I'm really watching this now. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Finally, if you want to get into a deeper dive with us, we are Board Game Geek Guild 3407.
Thanks for coming down to Meepletown.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at Meepletown Games, and connect with us on the Meepletown Guild, Guild number 3407, at BoardGameGeek.com. and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to Meepletown.